There we go.
One question to Melanie. Melanie, do you work in Cyberstore or at the VIC?
I'm actually stationed in Cybersdorf, but I get to play hooky sometimes in the VIC on the 7th floor. But today I'm home. This is my son's room. So he may come in.
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our last Toastmaster meeting of the year after an incredible year and sometimes special year with a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But in terms of club activity, it has been an amazing year. And we're closing, can you believe we've never done that in recent past, closing with a formal regular meeting of the Toastmaster Club so close to the year-end break. That's actually a first in a kind as well. And we have the great opportunity to welcome back Tom, Toastmaster Tom, who has been our president until the end of June and who led us magnificently through this COVID period for our club and maintained the activity alive. And I think it's a great sign that he's coming back and will be the Toastmaster of our day for our meeting today. Before handing over to him, I would like maybe to ask Jordana, just as you are a guest to the club, maybe you could introduce yourself and say a few words before we move on. Jordana, over to you.
Sure, thank you, Tristan. So my name is Gordana, everybody. Hi, I work at the IAEA, and I recently joined the agency in August as an environmental management system associate. I joined a few sessions before the Toastmastering Club through the VIC, and I really liked it. So I thought I wanted to try this as well.
Thank you, Jordana. Gordana. I didn't pronounce it well.
Either way, yeah, it's fine.
First place, so welcome, and you're welcome to attend and come and visit us a few times. And if you're interested, then please join us. On that note, and without any more waiting, I'll hand it over to Toastmaster Tom to run this meeting today. Over to you, Tom.
Tom, you're still muted.
So, now I'm unmuted. Great, thank you. So, thank you, President Tristan, for your nice words and handing over to me. Indeed, it's our last meeting for the year, and I found that, well, all is well that ends well. So we will try to give it a good ending of our meeting season today. And of course, we have a very nice and full program that I will shortly introduce. So we will have two speakers. We will have Wojna and Nicole, and we will even have table topics. And with that, I think I'm almost there to hand over to the general evaluator, which for today is Monica. Monica, please.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, actually. I'm the general evaluator today, and my role consists in evaluating everything that takes place during the meeting. It means taking notes and reporting at the end of the meeting about things like timing, enthusiasm and preparation, organization, performance, and other duties. And of course, I cannot do this alone, so I have a team that is assisting me in doing that. I have several members, an ad counter, I have a timer, a ballot counter, a grammarian. Today, ad counter is going to be Judith, if I'm right. Maybe ask each one to explain their role, or is it clear for everybody? Hello?
Monica, if I may, I would just like to mention how I will let you know about your time. So for the ones who have the speech from 5 to 7 minutes, I will show the green triangle when you have reached the 5 minutes, and the yellow one when you have reached 6 minutes, and the pink one when you reach the 7 minutes.
Perfect. Karen, thank you very much. And then, as I said, we have an ad counter, ballot counter, and a grammarian as well. I think the rules are clear, so we won't explain them now. And we have two evaluators, the evaluator of the first speaker, who is going to be Tristan, and the second evaluator, who is going to be Dot. As I said, at the end of the session, I will provide a report and tell you how everything went. So back to the Toastmasters today.
So there are some.
May I have the floor?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Toastmaster Monica. I should also mention that we time the table topics where the target time is 2 minutes. And we also time the evaluators where the target time is also 2 minutes, just that we're all on the same page.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So it seems there might be some difficulties with the video.
Yeah.
At least it looks like. Well, however, we will move on, and which means we will have our speeches already. So the first speech now will be Voina's, and the evaluation. The video is back. And the evaluation will be from Tristan or Edot. Now I'm a little bit. So first speech, no, it will be Edot for the second. Yeah. So then I will invite Edot to tell us about the objectives of this speech, please.
Just really quick, I was going to give you the word of the day as a grammarian. Is that okay?
Oh, sure. Yes, please.
So, fellow Toastmasters, 2020 has been quite a challenging year for all of us. So I wanted to find a word that could describe 2020. And I thought of transform, because transform, I'm using it as the verb, is an extreme or radical change. So 2020 gave us some serious transformation in our lives. The things that we took for granted, our face-to-face meetings, became online. So we transformed the way we did things. And transformation in your life can also be a positive thing. It can alter the way you do things. You find a different way, challenging way. So try to use transform as much as you can today. Transform, transformation. And I'm going to be listening when you speak for using the English language properly. And at the end, I'll give my report.
Thank you very much, Melanie. I'm sure the next speech that we hear will transform our ideas about public speaking tremendously. It will be by Voina, an experienced Toastmaster and actually a rejoining Toastmaster. And for the speech objectives, I will ask the evaluator Edot to introduce them to us. Edot, please.
I'm afraid I don't believe Edot is here. So could I propose we change the order?
Well, actually, Nicole wanted us to have her as second speaker because she felt not ready because of some technical difficulties. This is why I actually changed the order. So I have some slight difficulty now how to continue because I see Nicole here? No.
Yeah,
oh, Nicole is here. Yeah. Would you be ready for your speech, Nicole? You're muted. You're muted. Nicole, we cannot hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
I have a few problems with my computer today, so but that's okay.
Okay, well then we start with Nicole as the first speaker. Nicole is a restarter, kind of. I think she completed almost everything that you can complete in Toastmasters. At least she reached the advanced communicator bronze, the competent leader. And then she switched over to pathways. And today she has her presentation mastery. And the detail, tasks and goals for today's speech will come from Toastmaster Tristan.
Thank you, Toastmaster Thank you, Toastmaster Tom. Very briefly, Toastmaster Nicole is on Pathway. She's already at the second level of Pathway, so she completed over the last few months the first level. She's on the second level of the mastery. And today she will speak about mentoring and also giving an angle of what's being when you are a mentee and how you feel and you experience through that. And we look forward to hear from her on that topic.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tristan. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Good.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster Nicole finally got it. Finally got it. Toastmaster Nicole, please.
Do you know what the difference is between coaching and mentoring? Anybody who knows the difference real well, put your hand up. Well, at least some of you know. For me, I must admit that I didn't really get it before I had to take up this project in Pathways called mentoring. I then took the trouble of going into the matter and watched a video in Pathways. And the video, I must admit, although I'm not a particular fan of Pathways, is very well done. And I finally got it. Fellow Toastmasters, and I don't know if we have guests because I can't see. Anyway, fellow Toastmasters, I would like to share with you today what I learned in Pathways, what I experienced myself, and what I do not quite agree with. Because being French, there's rarely something I completely agree with. When I started as a Toastmaster, I really admired the ease with which people in the club were speaking, as if they'd done that all their life. And I knew that I couldn't give those little speeches that you have to give at one point or another in your job. And I decided, well, if I want to get better, I have to take a mentor. And the mentor I got, and you know it because I've already talked about that several times, was a very, very experienced Toastmaster, and his name is Otto, and we had Otto as a guest during our Christmas party. Otto then accepted to help me. Every time I gave a speech, he would tell me whether it was right or not quite right, whether I was maybe making a mistake by presenting a certain way. Anyway, he helped me for every speech I made, and he also gave me advice on public speaking in general. But although I really appreciated, and I insist on that, I really appreciated every piece of advice that he gave me, I now realize that what I got from him was more coaching than mentoring. Mentoring, as I now understand it, is not so much about giving advice on a particular project or speech or debriefing after a speech. It has more to do with general support of the new member. I know that I'm not quite supposed to paraphrase what I learned in Pathways, but since we are trying to regenerate or revitalize our mentoring program, I think that it is very important that we understand what is mentoring. So mentoring, and that is very important, is about supporting a new member and not necessarily a young person. It can be somebody who is already older, but is just starting with the club. It is showing the way. It is answering questions. It means encouraging the mentee when he or she feels insecure. It is proposing ways, for instance, to schedule speeches or taking roles. It is making sure that the member comes often enough to fully benefit from the club. It's being there when doubts arise. So you see, it's far more than just coaching. Now, I told you about my experience, about what mentoring really is. But as I told you, I started my journey in Toastmaster as a mentee before I became a mentor. So you notice that I keep using the word mentee. Whereas the word which is often used in pathways is the word protégé. And I have to tell you that I'm not sure I like that word protégé. I'll tell you why. First of all, it may be because I cannot help thinking that it comes from French. And in French, the word protégé comes from the verb protéger, which means to protect, to take under one's wing. So to be sure, I decided to look up that word in the dictionary, and I chose a Cambridge dictionary because that's the one I have behind me. And I'm reading the definition of protégé in the Cambridge dictionary. It says it's a young person who is helped and taught by an older and usually famous person. For instance, the young composer regarded himself as Bernstein's protégé. Well, first of all, personally, I'm not that old. And two, I'm not that famous. In fact, I'm not famous at all. And the mentees I have are not necessarily that young, and they don't need to be protected. They need to have somebody to show them the way, but that's all. So my role is not teaching. My role is helping. The role of any mentor is helping. Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, let's forget about the fine lines between definitions and concentrate on the job. And I insist, to sum it up, the job of a mentor is orienting, supporting, encouraging. OSE, like in expose, disclose, osmose, anything in O's. But for those of you who know French, ose means to dare. So OSE, to dare. Expose, or orient, support, encourage. And there we have. But as far as I'm concerned, I come back to my title. I finally got it. Mrs. Toastmaster of the Day, back to you, or Mr.
Tom, we don't hear you.
Thank you very much, Nicole, for your great speech and the insights you gave us and your linguistic explanations. And we will move on to our next speaker. I hope I have an evaluator now. Oh, Edot is here. So I can invite Edot already to sum up for us the goals for the second speech, for Voina's speech. Edot, please.
Edot, we don't hear you.
Yes.
Please. Yeah.
Fellow Toastmasters, apologies for my lateness. I'm afraid in that same lateness, I do not have the official description of the function of this speech, but from my knowledge of Toastmasters since the past 11 or so years, persuasive influence has to do with persuading the audience. And Vanya, correct me if I'm wrong. The aim of the speaker then is to persuade the audience to believe and to perhaps change their attitudes to a specific position, a commonly actually specific position. And since Vanya has confirmed that I had the right definition, I defer back to the Toastmaster of the day to give her the floor.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Edot. And yes, we are looking forward to being persuaded by Voina. So Voina, the Century Project, Panama, Africa, the Century Project, Panama, Africa. Voina, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tom. Global maritime waterways have played an important role throughout history, enabling countries to trade in everything from species to electronics, from cars to clothing. Today, 90% of all products made and sold globally are transported by ship, making the ocean, seas, and rivers a part of an integral part of a supply chain of many businesses. Here are 3 most important canals in the world for the international trade. Panama Canal, opened in 1914, is the longest artificial canal in the world. In Central America, it cuts through the land belt of Panama and thus connects the Atlantic with Pacific, making the dangerous and longer stretch around Cape Horn and Strait of Magellan obsolete for shipping. About 5% of the world's ocean freight traffic passes through the Panama Canal. Panama Canal has the greatest importance for goods transport from east to west of US, but at the same time, it transports 68% of all goods handled in the US are transported through Panama Canal. The second is Suez Canal, officially opened in 1869. It connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. A good tenth of global maritime runs through Suez Canal, which connect West, East, Europe, Asia, and parts of Africa. One of the world's heavily used shipping lanes, the Suez Canal provides the shortest maritime through Europe and the lands lying around India and Pacific Ocean, Western Pacific Oceans. The 193 kilometers of water allows ships to travel between Europe and South Asia without having to navigate around Africa, reducing the sea voyage distance by about 7,000 kilometers. The third is Panama, Africa, my family research project. Panama, Africa makes a direct connection between lakes Victoria, Tanganyika, Rukwa, Malawi, and Tanzania's capital city of Dodoma. Furthermore, thanks to the relatively flat lands of Tanzania, this effort could be accomplished without the need of hydrotechnical works of locks and without impacting the hydrological balance of the lakes that it connects. Such canal would enable the creation of much needed transportation infrastructure in Central Africa, which would allow the movement of people and goods, as well as drinking water, microclimate, and irrigation, in this way promoting economic development in the region. The lakes that I mentioned, Africa, Victoria, Tanganyika, they lay in the Central Africa. In Central Africa live 300 million people with the lowest income per capita. Alone in Lake Victoria and Lake Tanganyika live 70 million people. They inhabited an area which is rich in natural resources, rivers, lakes, and agriculture lands that have the potential to produce crops up to 3 times per year. Unfortunately, due to lack of the potential, due to the lack of navigable water and paved land, transportation network, these inhabitants around Lake Victoria and Lake Tanganyika in Malawi live relatively isolated without no cost-effective means of engaging in commerce with each other or outside world. That's why this network of canals, the Panama Africa, that would connect Lake Tanganyika and with Lake Victoria and capital city of Tanzania, Dodoma, is the solution for 70 million people to empower, to increase their standard of life and empower them economically. So if you can see that seas can unite nations, but it can divide as well, such as was the case of Suez Canal for a few years between France, Britain, and Egypt. However, connecting the lakes in Central Africa is the future of Central Africa and the world. Lake Victoria is one of the second biggest lake in the world. If you feel that you want to join my family research project, and if you feel like you want to have a contribution to these 70 million people, join us and share our articles with your networks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Wojna, for the speech that gave us a lot of information, was quite enthusiastic, and well, maybe even transformed our way of thinking about the Panama Channel. And now I will give you 1 minute feedback for Wojna, and afterwards 1 minute feedback for Nicole, which is what I forgot previously. So I asked the timer for 1 minute and 1 minute timing, please. Thank you.
The 1 minute is over.
Thank you. Then we have the 1 minute for feedback for Nicole, please.
The minute is over.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Karen. Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, now our meeting is becoming even more interesting because we will transform from being spectators to being actors. We can become really active during our table topics session of impromptu speeches. And I'm absolutely sure that Toastmaster Ines will have very interesting topics prepared for us. I hand over to Toastmaster Ines for the table topics, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest. When I was preparing for today's table topics, I was thinking of something which could transform our lives through our thinking. And I looked at the power of creative intelligence, because we would need quite a lot of that in the coming years. I'm sure about that. We have different ways to tap into our creative potential, and creative intelligence is actually our ability to come up with new ideas, original ideas, expanding ideas, and using our left and our right brains. So using everything we have. It's also about connecting the dots and looking at innovations which will be coming up in our thoughts and also to be transformed into ideas and actions. So throughout history, we have seen there are a couple of brilliant people, and I'm sure among all of you, all of you are brilliant in presenting ideas. I have seen it, I know you. What would Einstein say to the year 2020? Toastmaster Gabriela, is she there? Yeah, Toastmaster Gabriela. Please give us your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ines, fellow Toastmasters. Well, I think Einstein will be very proud of us for somehow managing to survive 2020. As you previously mentioned, 2020 has been a transformative year. We have learned to work in many different ways. Before COVID-19, for example, there was a lot of resistance to change from the UN Secretariat on working from home. And now we have proof that we can actually work from home. We have learned to have online sessions, things that we could thought we could not do, now we do on a daily basis. Kids are learning from home. We have meetings from people around the world. And somehow we have also changed our social behavior, for good or for bad. The vaccine has come in a record time. It's the first time that a vaccine has been produced in such a short period. So of course, I think Einstein will be very, very proud that we as this scientific community has been able to work together across different countries to achieve the solution to a problem that now has an impact on the world as a whole. Of course, there's a lot of things to do, but I think we should be positive and look at take a lot of lessons learned from 2020. And I think Einstein will be proud of us. Even though we have things to improve, I think we have done a good job as a society and as a humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said, we all have a little bit of Einstein within us, I'm sure. And from what you said, you sounded very convincing. We have in 2020 also the year of Beethoven. And staying with Beethoven, I was told that Beethoven has used a lot of math, a lot of mathematics in writing his music. How would you use Ludwig van Beethoven's music in your work environment, whether you are at home or whether you are in the office? Toastmaster Judith.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ines, fellow Toastmasters. the question, if I'm not mistaken, because the internet connection is not really great from my side, is that about music and how I will use it at work. So I use music every time I can. It's super important for me. It's like I feel like a beast, and music is calming me when I'm working, when I feel different emotions, when I'm sad or happy. I use it every time I can. If I'm happy, I turn on the radio, I put the hardest tune I can find. If I'm sad, I look for also the same melody as I'm feeling, relaxed. So music is actually very important to my life, and it's also important while I'm working because it keeps my focus on what I'm doing. There are many playlists as Spotify to focus, especially like those ones that are without words, without just music, and it keeps me very focused. Lately I've been listening to a Brazilian singer, Gilberto. I have forgotten about his surname. Gilberto. Yes, he's super famous, and I actually like it a lot. I focus, and when I'm done, I change the type of music, and then I can relax. Thanks.
Thank you, Judith. We have really seen, and you have also convinced us that music is the spice of life, and you use it in many ways. Toastmaster Maria Teresa. Taking a break helps us to think and function better. We know that. When you take a walk in the park, what does it to you? In fact, the Japanese are talking about taking a shower in the woods. Personally, what does it to you? Maria Teresa, please share it with us.
And I thought you were going to ask me something about Christmas, so I brought Rudolph, but totally different subject. Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, when I think about a walk in the park, I think it's an opportunity for me to be away from the computer screen, to be distracted, to actually enjoy nature and not have any of this stuff that's floating all around that in reality is not really necessary. What is necessary is fresh air. Walking in a park, I'm thinking of the Stadtpark, and you were talking about music. I love to go into the Stadtpark and look at this statue of Strauss. It makes me feel connected to Vienna and connected to the tradition of music in this country. Again, if you take a walk in the park, you see the variety, what nature has given us. It's not all one thing. You see flowers, you see shrubs, you see perhaps a pond, and you also see people sitting on park benches. You know, I'll confess, sometimes if I see somebody on a park bench, I almost feel like going up to them and starting a conversation. But certainly in this day and age, you don't want to get close to anybody. So now a walk in the park also gives you an opportunity to not be cooped up in a house or a flat, but to be outdoors in nature. And I think that's really important. I think we have lost our connection to nature. My God, we destroy enough of it with what we do. I see the beauty, I see the simplicity, and I'm so pleased to be out of the four walls, away from the computer, and not doing anything, but just taking in everything that nature gives us. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Maria Teresa. As you said, we have received quite a lot from nature. It doesn't cost anything, but we have to also use it to the fullest. On the subject, cooking. What has cooking to do with creativity? I tell you, you would be surprised. And I want to hear that. We want to hear that, please, from Gordana. Cooking is creative, so they say. And if you take the time, and especially during your home office times. Try to integrate that in life. I am sure that you are coming up with an immense creations. What is the most creative dish or even creative utensil you have developed or used during your cooking activities? Toastmaster Gordana.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ines. In general, when I'm cooking, I always have a recipe, but I never follow the recipe. So I kind of have a general idea of what I need to put in, but to be honest, I never even one time have I used exactly everything what's on the recipe. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Most of the times I find it good. Sometimes, a couple of times when I try to make some breads and I don't follow the recipe exactly, then it turns out very bad. But for me, I have one time when I made a cake. It was actually the first time. So I enjoy making lunches. I enjoy making appetizers and salads, but I never made dessert in my life until maybe 5-7 years ago. Small desserts here and there, but not a full like a cake for a 5-member family or more. So when I lived in the US, my sister came finally after many years of trying to convince her to move to America. She lived in Macedonia at the time. So when she came, that was just a few days after her arrival. It was her birthday, and I just saw different recipes and kind of combined everything in my head. I mean, I was just really exploring, just putting in everything, but there was so much love, there was so much excitement, there was so much I wanted to show that I was so happy that she's there. And I think that was the best cake I ever made. There were people who, friends of mine who do not eat sugar, and they tried it and they loved it. So I think it's important to put emotions in the cooking as well.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Gordana. You have really shown us what you have been able to do in transforming also your style. And I'm happy to hear that you're not only making banana cakes, which is the trend these days. The next question which came to my mind was that some neurologists or psychologists are saying that we have infinite creativity and that we actually are only 10%, using only 10% of our potential. What is happening to the other 90%? Is this actually true? And how are you going to change this in the year 2021? Especially in the age of Aquarius, where we are being told that we can expect quite a couple of new developments. And I want to hear from Toastmaster Pinar. Please give us your thoughts on this particular issue.
Thank you, dear Toastmaster Ines. It is a very nice question. Okay. Nowadays, I am learning a lot of things from my little daughter, how she learns, speaks in German or in English. We are from Turkey. I mean, her mother language is Turkish. Learning English or German or other things, everything is new for her. So I really like to follow her attitude when she faced new things, and how she reacts. How is her reaction, or how sorry, how she tried to handle for when she faced some thing to solve. Sorry for my okay. So for New Year, I will try to follow her attitude and her excitement, enthusiastic, and also I will try to more positive and more secure when I try to learn new things, because I need to, maybe not in just 21, I should be always to have like this attitude during my lifetime. By the way, it was a really interesting question. After the table topics, I will think about it later again. Thank you for this chance. Yeah, and happy new creative years, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Pinar. This is really food for thoughts, which goes beyond 2021, as you said, and we will get back to you also next year regarding your thoughts. Do we have time for one last question? Toastmaster of the day, very short, very short.
Okay, let's try.
Toastmaster Tristan, what has love to do with creativity?
What has love to do with creativity? Love and creativity. Actually, creativity is making love to love in a certain way. And you need to remain creative in love to sustain a high level of emotions. And actually, love, challenging topic to talk about like this. Love is actually, you need to balance the creativity and the sustainability, and to ensure that you're creating an atmosphere where you and your companion feel comfortable to open up to each other. And there are some habits and repetitions that we all do in our love of each other's. And just taking a simple example, I love to put my hand on my wife's leg when I sleep or when she sleeps. And this is a habit. There's no creativity. The first time you do it, it's maybe creative, but there's not creative. And actually, it's a feel-good moment. But you need also a lot of moments where you're creative and you let yourself go outside of your normality and just to follow how your feelings are. And so as I started by creating creativity and love is actually intertwined, as you can see, I moved on in my reflection as we're speaking, and I say it needs to be balanced between both of us, both stability and creativity. But ultimately, you just do it how you feel. And I think at the end, you'll get the best outcome out of it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tristan. Thank you for these thoughts, because in the coming festive days, although these are different days, different from other years, we will need quite a lot of this combination. And with that, back to you, to Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Tom. Thank you. One thing I forgot also to mention is that please ensure that we are getting that we choose actually the best table topics, although I must say all the table topics were immensely creative. Thank you for that. Thank you for these thoughts. If you could give then also your thoughts or your ballots to the ballot counter. Who's the ballot counter?
Lily is the ballot
Lily.
counter.
Yeah, Toastmaster Lily. Thank you for that. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ines, for an incredible journey from Beethoven over park, cooking, brain to love. It was really a great transforming journey that you gave us with your table topics. And for the sake of the ballot, I will repeat the table topic speakers. And please send your vote directly via private chat to Lily. In the list, she appears as Lily Gundaker with her full name. So we had Gabriela with music. We had Judith. We had Maria Teresa with the walk in the park. We had Gordana with the cooking. We had Pinar with using the brain in a better and more comprehensive way. And we had Tristan with love and creativity. Please cast your vote and send it to Lily. We will reserve some time for this, maybe a minute from the timekeeper, please.
The minute is over.
Thank you. Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, at this time of the year, we already got used to summing up the year. In our case, we will not sum up the years, but we will kind of sum up our meeting by providing feedback, which always constitutes an important part of a Toastmasters meeting. And for this special purpose, we have a general evaluator that will lead you through the evaluation part of our meeting. I hand over to our general evaluator. Monica, please.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for today. So now we start the evaluation part. For me, it's one of the most important parts because it's a part where we provide feedback. And you know that feedback is extremely important for growing, for learning, and for transforming ourselves. So we will first hear the speech evaluators that will evaluate the prepared speeches of the day. And then I will get the reports from the grammarian, a counter, timer, and at the end, the ballot counter. Our first evaluator is Toastmaster Tristan, who will be evaluating Toastmasters Nicole. Nicole gave a speech with the title, Finally, I Got It. So please, Toastmaster Tristan, give us your evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Monica. Coaching and mentoring, what's the difference? And I thought that was a very good start and question to engage an audience, even if we face the challenge of having not direct feedback in a virtual meeting as you would have in a natural meeting. But it's a very good question because I asked myself that questions when you brought it over, and honestly, I heard those, but I hadn't a quick answer on this one as quickly as I saw it. And I thought that was a very powerful start. I also like how you ended up at the end with the reminder of orienting, supporting, encouraging. Orienting, supporting, encouraging. You re-emphasize this as a closing, and I thought that was very powerful explanation of what mentoring is. And I thought that was a good way. I had more difficulty throughout the speech to follow the logic between coaching and mentoring. I really appreciated that you made some good research, and we can feel your background of researching words and their meaning and how you use them. I really liked how you went to the definition, going back to the dictionary for both words, how you research them, also how you look at protégé and also made an analogy to that elements. And finally, also the word you build with OSE, and how you brought it into French. I thought that was very well done. There's one last point I would like to share, and I was a bit troubled about this, is, I don't know, at some stage you said that you're somehow difficult because you're French, and I'm not sure if you're trying to make a joke there, but I didn't get the joke. Unfortunately, this joke didn't fly with me. I didn't really understand what you meant there, Nicole. But apart from that, it was great. I love the start, I love the beginning. Maybe a reinforcement on the difference between mentoring and coaching in the middle, but I really got what mentoring was at the end with your simple but memorable expression of OSE. Thank you very much. It was great to hear you, and I look forward for your next speech. And I hand it over back to Toastmaster Monica, our general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tristan. Now it's my honor to call the second evaluator, Toastmaster Adot, who will be evaluating Toastmaster Voina, who gave the speech about the Century Project, Panama and Africa. So please, Toastmaster Adot, come up with your evaluation.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Toastmaster Voina, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You took a bold project, really bold, because speaking about connecting continents and oceans is in itself a bold project. The way you went about it, I looked at presentation-wise, the voice. I felt your voice was strong, it was engaging, you were breathing correctly, which helps project your voice so that there's no cracking and there's no nervousness hidden in the voice, and that's an important speaking skill. Your pitch also was engaging, not too loud, not too soft, and it was a modulated way of speaking, which keeps the listener engaged. In terms of content, you chose your content very well, comparing 3 different canals, and particularly the most effective ones we have to date, which are both well over 100 years old. And your body language was the last thing I looked at in terms of presentation. Again, excellent use of expressions in your face. You moved forward. A visual thing is really not the best for body language, but the fact that you used your facial expressions and were not shy to use your face also helps in this particular virtual context where we're all looking at a flat screen. There's no 3 dimensions about it. Which brings me now to the areas where perhaps a little effort might be needed. And I will take a few tips from Nicole's speech. That has to do with structure. And one way to get good structure is to rehearse your speech, present it to anybody. If you have a listener and a sounding board, you yourself will hear the places where you need to improve. And one of them was connecting your Panama Century project, a very ambitious and fascinating concept, with the 2 older canals that already exist. So the subject of your speech was one of the last things that you spoke about. I would suggest you bring that further in front and engage your listener into the size, the ambition, and the potential benefits of this wonderful Century project that would create so many benefits for millions of people in a rather poor part of the world. Lastly, I would say thank you very much for being that creative and taking up a topic that most people would not be into. In terms of persuasion, because this topic came at the end, the persuasive message, I think, was not put forward as strongly as you'd have liked to. So in all, it was a good speech. In terms of structure, if you think about doing everything slightly differently, reorder the topic, your speech and all the presentational aspects are okay. So it's the next part is the content. I'm sorry I took so long, but thank you very much for an excellent speech, Voina.
Thank you very much, Toastmasters Adot. And now I will ask to my team to actually give their report. I will start with our grammarian who will help us transform ourselves with her feedback. So Toastmasters Melanie, please go ahead.
Thank you, Toastmaster Monica. To start off, you all were quite good today, especially when we went through the word of the day, transform. I got to clearly hear it from Tom once, Inez twice, and now Monica 2 times. So thank you for using the word. To take apart the 2 speeches, the first one we had was Nicole, and I really only noticed one small, very tiny mistake. Nicole used the word unsecure and it's insecure. And for Vonya, also very small things. It sounded actually quite nice. She said voyage, but it's a voyage. She said the word such a canal, and we would say canals, or actually, yeah. So I think she was referring to more than one, or being that such canal was built, such a canal. So just put an A in there or add an S. And the last thing I heard, just very slight from Vonya, was she used outside world, and it should be the outside world. So moving down to quickly just your table topics. I didn't really pick up anything too bad except one small thing with Pinar. She said that she was following her daughter with enthusiasm, and I think she meant enthusiasm. Other than that, outstanding today. And if I could hand a grammarian crown to anyone, I'd like to hand it to Inez today for the creativity in her table topics. It seems as though she chose each topic for each person quite on the dot, starting with Einstein and Beethoven and the cooking and the park and using the other 90% of our brain, and of course, ending with love. Thank you. That's my report for today.
Now I would like to continue with Toastmasters Judith, who will give us the report on the accounting.
Thank you, Toastmaster Monica. As you might have already seen, I'm the queen of arms, so I already did my topic, how it's called, my small speech, and I did a lot of but for the rest, you did very well. Inez, for example, and Maria Teresa did nothing, no extra sounds. Nicole had 3 S's. Boina had 2 A's, 2 M, and a deep breath. I got disconnected, but that's all I was able to take note of. And then Gabriela had 2 A's for M, Pinar 1 2 E. Tristan also, I think it was because of the topic, he was a bit hesitating, and he had 2 M, 1 E, and Gordana 2 and 1 A. I don't know if that's the detail you were am I supposed to give this report with a lot of sounds, but that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Toastmasters Karen, I see you are very efficient. You gave us already the report online, but still I would like to ask you to please present your report.
Yes, of course. Yeah, quite an experience to be the timekeeper. I thought it would be like more easy, but no, it's not that easy, but I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. So most of the speakers stick within the time. The prepared speeches, just Nicole went 15 seconds beyond the time limit, but that was okay. All the speakers from the table topics spoke within the time, and just the evaluators, Tristan and Adolf, were a little bit further the time limitations, but they were giving very interesting feedback to the speakers. So thank you.
Point of order.
Billy, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just in terms of the official Toastmasters counting, we have the red card at the time that is the maximum time allowed, and then a 30-second grace period. And actually everybody was within the grace period. According to the schedule, the evaluator has 2 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes is the limit. So 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And if 3 minutes 29 is just 1 second within the limit. So would have actually passed in an exam, in a contest. And the speech 7:15, sure, you get the red card at 7 minutes, but 15 minutes is still within the 30 seconds grace period. So that is also still within the limits.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Would you like to give your report, Lily, about the ballot counting, or will you give it at the end of the meeting?
As you wish, I can give it now. I want to use the word transformational, and I want to contribute to the meeting in whatever way I can. So if you would like to hear it now.
Please go ahead.
Okay, the winner is Marie Theresa. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I would also like to give you a very small report from my side. I noticed that we started on time. I saw as well that we greeted and welcomed our guests. So everything went smoothly in the meeting. I got a little bit confused at the beginning because I saw in the schedule that the meeting would start at 12 sharp, and I only logged in at 12:15. So that was a little bit confusing for me. I don't know for the others it was clear, but I think we should write 12:15 also in the agenda so as to avoid confusion. I thought that we clapped all the time, like we had virtual clapping. So usually it's more motivating when we are present because the clappings made a lot of difference, but still we're trying to do our best and use these tools here, so very well. I think we're going to finish on time as well. 1:32 according to the schedule, and it's 1:22. So that's it from my side to keep it short, and I would like to give the word back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Monica, for summing it up. I also believe it was quite an excellent meeting that we had again. Now, Toastmasters, it was a great pleasure for me to lead you through the meeting. And yes, I think we were able to round up well our Toastmaster 2020 year. And of course, a meeting would be nothing without the final word from our presiding officer and president, Toastmaster Tristan. Please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chairman, to lead us to the meeting today. To close this year, I would like to, before I leave with, oh, that's so sweet and so nice what you're doing, Toastmaster Tom. Very nice decoration on your desk that I hope everybody can enjoy. Just before I say a few parting words, I would like to invite Gordana to say a few words how she felt about the meeting. And that's a tradition. We ask our guests just to say a few words at the end of the meeting. So over to you, Gordana.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Tristan. Overall, it was a very good meeting, and I like that you actually called on me, Ines. I was not expecting, but I liked it. Just a little note that I was a little confused of all the roles a little bit. So maybe when there is a new member, then you just very shortly explain. Although I read the agenda, it was still a little confusing to me who's doing what and how. But I mean, at the end you get the idea, but just maybe for next time when somebody new comes in, just a short explanation of how you will proceed. Yeah, overall I really like it, so hopefully see you soon again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gordana. And actually, as a guest, we usually not call on them to, table topics to make a point, but we occasionally do. And I think you delivered an amazing answer with your cooking. And so we look forward that you bring over your next cake at the office at the beginning of next year. And also, we like to highlight we're struggling also as part of the meeting to decide if we should each time spend, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes actually introduce all the roles and the context. And when you come every other week at the meeting, it's a bit of a repetition. So we're struggling, should we shorten them? But obviously it makes it more confusing for the guests. So good point. And we appreciate your feedback. Now, just saying a few words as we're closing the year. Our next meeting will be on the 12th of January. Nicole has already signed up to speak. There's still another prepared speech slot available. 4 of you have already signed up to attend the meeting. I thank you for that, and look forward for you taking either a speaking role or another role as part of the meeting. I hope you take the time now ahead to relax in the coming days, because we'll have a family time or a festive time, or depending on where you live, but most likely you won't be moving and going into many shops, or going to be a store, not going to be too much work during that period. So I think it's also a good time to relax and also think about your plan, what you're planning for next year, and also think about what you would like to do as part of Toastmaster next year, and what would you like to achieve from your membership, so you come back even more energized and on your journey to improve your communication or your leadership skills. On that note, a warm thank you to all of you from the officer of the club. We all wish you a happy holiday, a great break, and we look forward to see you back in 2021. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.